completely with you on that. I think one of the topics that we discussed in the last couple of days was also around developer liability and the realization that there are tools for that, for dealing with that. There's like professional liability insurance. And so these are things that come up when you have discussions with people that are outside of your narrow box. And so it's really important for non-devs, non-technical people to get involved.
And it's very easy, I feel, in the Ethereum community. I can't talk for like every place in the world, but I found in Toronto that it's just super supportive. Blockchain in general, people want to help. People push you to like I've been pushed by so many people. Like, yeah, do it, go to these things. Like, well, I don't really know enough. And they're like, no, that's great. You have other. So I just would hope that people don't think if you don't even really know that much, there's other things that you know that these people don't know.
Yeah, I can jive off of that. Giveth especially is a great place to come into blockchain. I'm just going to throw that out there. We are really open to non-devs if you want to come and experiment with governance. We have this cool thing called Reward DAO where you do whatever you want, and if it's helping the Giveth mission, we have like a DAO-ish structure where we reward points, and you can actually be making a little bit of money while you're doing what you want to do. And so that's a really nice way to come into blockchain space if you're a non-dev and you just want to write articles or document things or provide some kind of service to the community. We're totally open to helping you. And then if you are a dev and you really want to dive into some experimentation in governance, you can start a charity. What we call a decentralized altruistic community. Of course, we're not quite ready to let everyone use our platform, but this is kind of one of the main goals I have with Giveth is that it's a low-risk place in the charity space where you don't have investors, you just have donations, but very low expectations on how those donations are going to be used because the standard is low from the current charity system a little bit. So you can start playing around with liquid democracy or futurarchy, and you can try to figure out how do we turn these donations to help cute little puppies, right? That's a very low-risk place to experiment with governance. So just throwing it out there.
Thanks, guys. Just to reiterate what what basically all of you have already said, I'm a relative newcomer. I only sort of seriously became involved in the Ethereum community late last year, and I wanted to share that kind of early on, it was pretty terrifying, right? It's sort of this multi-billion-dollar, impenetrable kind of thing, and there's these people who've been in it for many, many years, and it's, I don't know who's in charge or what's going on or how to get involved, but, this is, speaking honestly, sort of the most warm and welcoming and open community I've ever had the pleasure of being a part of, and it's been really incredible, and just thank you to everyone here for making this exciting and relatively painless journey the past few months, and to other people out there who are thinking, how do I get involved and how do I get started and who are these people and what is this? Like, the code is open source. You'd be surprised how kind of small many of the teams in this space are. We all know that we don't have the answers and we all need help with things. So find us on Gitter, find us on GitHub and Reddit, and join calls and just help build this community, because it's a community of and by and for the community. All right, let's take some audience questions. I guess just stand up and shout, and we'll repeat the question.
Should we give them a microphone or something right there?
We can try, but I'm not sure if it'll reach.
It's not going to reach, but just
put it on the stand. Put that over there.
People can.
How about that? We'll have people line up for questions. So if you have a question, please line up, and you can just speak into the mic here.
Who's first? Come on, you want it. Oh yeah.
Is it a question or is she going to the bathroom?
Hi there. Hello. It's a pleasure to be here. I am actually a co-founder of Gitter as well. And I would love to understand one thing. I feel like lately we have gone away from what this really was meant to be, what blockchain was supposed to do for us and the impact that it was going to bring. And I see two things happening. We're going towards this ICO world where we have all these projects that are trying to create a token for the sake of creating a token so that they can fundraise. And the other is the division of the communities. Kind of like I'm Ethereum, I'm Bitcoin, I'm such and such and whatever. So I kind of see this sort of trend going, and I was wondering whether in this governance or in general, do we actually look at that and say, hey, first of all, there are projects out there that are trying to do good, and this is where the give side comes out. So they really want to make some social impact, and I think that it's really cool if we can actually support them. And they don't really need to come up with those stupid tokens that mean nothing, just because they need to fundraise. So is there a way that we can actually bring some visibility to these projects as part of our, I don't know, community involvement, and actually let them know that they don't have to come up with those stupid tokens, and they can actually receive some resources to get out there and do something good? So that's one. And the second one, is there a possibility that we can actually bring other blockchain groups, community supporters together? Ethereum blockchain, for example, would be super cool.
So to address your first question about how we can get people in here without getting stupid tokens involved so they can actually make a good living. So there are a few grant and funding initiatives that have been recently announced in the past few months. One of them is the Ethereum Community Fund, ECF, where a lot of groups got together and are funding a lot of protocol level stuff. I think they're having like a parallel party right now, like down the road. But yeah, they're doing a lot of good things. The Ethereum Foundation recently, actually hours ago, announced the second recipients of their grants program. And so they gave away $2.84 million a few hours ago to a bunch of different projects that are dealing with protocol and layer 2 level stuff in the ecosystem. So I think that there's all this money that is happening from these ICOs, but some of it is going to goodness. So that's the answer to the first one. Second one, anybody else?
You've talked about tribalism. Do you want to talk about it?
No, that's right.
Griff's got it.
Yeah, well, Grace gets my opinion all the time, so it's kind of like sad. But yeah, I think ending crypto tribalism has got to be a thing. It's not necessarily so incentivized as this zero-sum game in a lot of people's minds that, you know, you can only invest in so many cryptocurrencies, right? So there is in a way, a disincentive against it. So it's going to be really hard to overcome it naturally, but it is something that we have to try to overcome it. I think when we start having some bridges between blockchains and people can actually, in a decentralized way, even move money from one to another, that'll help a lot. And because you don't see so many tokens on Ethereum kind of like say, no, my token's better than yours, you know, like token tribalism is a lot less than platform tribalism. So maybe once we advance the technology a little bit, there will be a lessening of that effort. You know, we can be one big happy blockchain community fighting against the man, you know. But we'll see. It's a tough one to overcome.
Is that gonna reach?
I would just add, like there are self-described or not self-described maximalists that have loud voices, but I don't know if they constitute the majority of almost any community. So a lot of people cross-pollinate already.
Speaking for myself, I think I'm quite humble about what we know and what we don't know. I just want to say, I think, you know, we have a lot to learn from other communities. I mean, Ethereum's amazing. It's full of amazing people. It's done amazing things. It will continue to do so. But that doesn't mean that we should, you know, have blinders on and not look at what other people are doing. And it is happening, right? I mean, I think that if you look at the research and the technology that's happening in Ethereum, it is influenced by what other sort of projects are doing. You know, I think that while, I'm going to pick on EOS just because I don't know, it's the first one that came to mind, while like, you know, our values may be a little bit different, I do think that, I'm going to also coin a word here, I don't know what do they call themselves, EOSians and Ethereans probably have more in common than we do with, you know, supporters of the man, of the old school. So I just, you know, I've been in touch with other, as I've been thinking about and researching governance, I've been in touch with other projects. I want to learn from them and get dialogue going with them, so we should do more of that.
Yeah, I mean, as a dApp developer, if you can build your dApp on a couple different platforms, why wouldn't you? It's like, is someone an iPhone developer maximalist? You know, like, You're only going to build apps on iPhones? Screw those Android guys? I mean, come on, no way. If you're trying to solve a problem, yeah, you pick a platform that best suits your needs at the moment, and right now it's Ethereum for sure. But as these other platforms do develop, why wouldn't you? I mean, there's some guys in Ubik here, and you know, like it's easy to just port your code over to since they have Solidity, you can port your code over there, run a dApp on their chain too. If it works and you can provide that service to other users, sounds good, right? I know, and at Giveth, we're connected to RSK guys, and we're really excited to be able to use Bitcoin on Giveth. And if we can actually bridge between, if we get a bridge between Rinkaby and Ethereum, why can't we bridge between Rinkaby and RSK? And then, hey, well, maybe we can actually bridge between RSK and Ethereum too, right? And I think making these steps and watching it evolve, people will come to their senses and get over this tribal stuff and realize we're just building cool tech.
Just one last thing to add. It's not a zero-sum game, right? I mean, as much as I would like to see Ethereum succeed, and I believe we have a great chance, if ultimately it's another system that realizes and achieves the sort of dreams that we're talking about, I'm cool with that, personally speaking. And I'll support them.
Yeah, I'll step up. My name is Mark McDowell. I'm a partner at Real Ventures in Montreal. I feel like when crypto started, almost a decade ago, it was computer science and cryptographers and mathematicians. But more recently, it's become interdisciplinary, and we have a lot of economists now thinking about it. I can think about Carl Flourish and cryptoeconomics, but also Chris Berniski. So economists have kind of brought some law and order to this field. Is it so crazy that philosophers and political scientists don't help us? Because we're not the first people to ever deal with governance, even in decentralized systems. Like the United Nations is sort of a decentralized system, and they've sort of solved governance. I mean, Plato wrote about it in the Republic, and I'm thinking about Ethan Wilding because I know he used to be a philosophy professor. But I think it would be sort of cool if we expanded our interdisciplinary efforts and got some political theorists in here. Because look, not everybody wants to be involved in governance. It's complicated. You don't necessarily want everybody voting, even if they have a lot of ether, say. But can we kind of look to the past to figure out how smart societies have done governance? I don't have an answer. It's not even really a question, but it's sort of an idea to throw out there.
Great question. Completely agree. If you look on the wall, we have a topic that we did break out and discuss, which was learning from outside the Ethereum bubble. I'm just going to share one quick thought on that came out of that. I want you to know that it is something we're talking about, we'll continue to talk about. A lot of those folks that you mentioned, the philosophers, the economists, etc., don't take Ethereum very seriously today because we haven't done a great job with positioning and branding, and they kind of hear of Ethereum and they think of ICOs and scams and things like that. And so one of my takeaways from that session is that we need to think about how we approach those people and how we explain to the world what Ethereum is and what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, and that's part of the reason that I wanted to try and come up with a company and bring all these people from different backgrounds together, because really at the core, this is something for humanity. The point that I usually try and say is, how can tech change the world when it doesn't represent the world? There's so many things. I've studied history, classics, philosophy before business, so I know that a lot of things that people are struggling with now, people throughout history have already tried things. We don't need to go and try everything from point zero. There's maybe that didn't quite work, but you can take a piece of this, a piece of that. There's only so many resources that people have, and to try and recreate the wheel for every single thing, it's just not going to go anywhere.
We were talking about tribalism before, and I think that's true for all of these other disciplines as well. Everybody benefits when there's cross-pollination of different ideas, and the space will be richer if we're open and welcoming to all those people.
I run a Burning Man camp. I think that honestly, Burning Man There are a lot of philosophers and deep thinkers out there on the playa, and that cross-pollination is something I'm really excited about, because they are doing experimentation from the cultural side on economics and decentralization and building things, doing a different kind of economy in a new way. And I don't see anybody better to hang out with than burners anyway. Come on, right? Right? So we need those guys in the space, and at least I'm making that my personal mission, is to bring crypto people to the playa and to get the playa into Ethereum. So.
Nice shirt.
Brian, thanks. That was a great conference, by the way. I just had 3 responses. 2 are kind of small, so I'll do those first, and one's a little bigger. So the first one was, you were talking about trying to get everyone's opinions and signals and all in place so you can go view it and stuff. Isn't that just journalism?
Yeah, did you ever see the what is it, coins.dance for for when it was like Bitcoin Cash or Bitcoin and all the hash power? And I don't remember, there were a bunch of these different aggregators of signals that different people were saying, and journalism can be really long. You have to read all these things. They had it just this guy supports this fork, right? And this guy supports this fork, and it's just in a nice chart, and it's just there. And it's okay, cool. I have all this information at my fingertips without having to dig.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking like having a little bit more of a formal journalistic process, people that are doing deep dives on issues like that and trying to get everyone's voice onto the forefront instead of just relying on the existing whoever wants to say whatever they want kind of thing. But yeah, that was kind of first thought. And the second thought was experimentation at the layer 2 of governance. I was talking with one of the guys from Yale. I work with Yale a lot. We're in New Haven, Connecticut. And he was like, I just want to make my club do this. Just set it up, give it a shot to try. That's more of a shout out. But the real question I had was for EIP0. I forgot who exactly was saying this, but what do you actually write about that? And maybe it's more just community guidelines, we believe in free speech, we believe in respectful dissent. Is there things we can write down on that we all kind of agree on as a group? And that could be our governance, just creating a space that we want to create.
Let me just quickly, so the name EIP0 hashtag, I think it's up here, right, what we've been sort of using to refer to this event, and maybe in a broader sense to whatever initiative comes out of this. We've been talking about this today, and one of my goals, speaking for myself, kind of coming into this the past 2 days, is I thought it would be amazing if we could think about something that we could write down, some kind of draft. And so that's what the EIP0 refers to. Just for avoidance of doubt, there is no actual EIP0, so don't go looking for it on GitHub, at least not yet. And so yeah, there are some people, we had a very productive session today, some people here agree that maybe a statement of shared values is the right approach. I am in the camp where I think that's a good idea, but I think we did speak about this earlier, and some people thought that wasn't the best approach.
Less that I didn't think it was a good approach, and more that I thought it was potentially unachievable, because we have such diversity of viewpoints that it's difficult to agree on anything more contentious than we should keep running Ethereum nodes.
Yeah, the thing is, if there isn't anything stated, people will just do, it'll be their perception. So, okay, it's not stated. So when I look at all these things on Twitter and Reddit, okay, it appears that this is it. So I think a lot of times perception does then become a truth. So it's very hard, because when you have something is this, then humans find ways to get around that. So it's part of the reason the SEC and the OSC don't want to say, okay, if you do this, you're good, because it's okay, well, now we have the rules, and we can, do that and get around that. So there is some things that I think is good. Hey, yeah, don't write it all down. Let people come up with their own things. If they don't like it, they can go somewhere else. It just makes things a lot harder to achieve actionable items and deliverables. So yeah.
Yeah, when we were building this conference, or whatever this is, a symposium or something.
Symposium is a good one.
Yeah.
It's a smart word.
Yeah,
Oh,
for philosophers, symposium, that's perfect.
I have a master's degree. But yeah, we at first thought, oh yeah, we're going to build a plan, we're going to have some kind of deliverable. And we were chatting with Vlad Zamfir, and he was like, that's stupid, don't do that. You can't pretend that 30 people in a room are going to be able to decide the future governance of Ethereum or even produce a document that inspires a certain direction. What we figured out is that maybe we'll write a blog post or something, right? And there might be some actionable items out there, but setting expectations for any specific outcome is really difficult. And it's probably not a good idea. And let these things flow like naturally. And just the community is bigger than the 30 people in this room, that's for sure. And we have had a lot of stakeholders that weren't represented. But we did use this to learn about each other's perspectives, and hopefully everyone, because there were some movers and shakers here, so hopefully everyone has a better opinion forward and can respond better on Reddit on the questions.
First rule of Ethereum, there are no.
Oh, here.
So maybe as a first step towards defining the values of it, maybe even if that's not possible. I remember like at DevCon 0, one thing we did was, back in the days, happy days, was trying to find ways of just speaking about what Ethereum is. So there was like a little exercise where everybody took a little video and sort of just said what they thought Ethereum was. It could be fun to redo that exercise because we've learned a lot in the last 4 years, 3 years, 4 years. And just to hear what people think Ethereum is.
Do you still have those videos? I'd love to see them.
I hope so. I think so.
Just one more quick thought. As with most things in blockchain, I think there's a trade-off here, and most things in life. I think Ethereum governance is largely informal today, and the downside to an informal governance is that not everyone knows the rules, and people sort of feel confused or disenfranchised by it. And so there's benefits to sort of codifying it and formalizing it. The flip side is basically, what if you get it wrong? Right, you lose a lot of flexibility. So we need to sort of be wary of that and try to find a happy medium.
Any other questions? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Oh, we've got one.
It's more a kind of observation. Because I think we have a lot of people talking about decentralization and all of this stuff, which is all fantastic, but there's a lot of religious opinion. And we're not building a religion. We are building a system. I mean, I remember databases coming along, and when database came along, developers would say, would walk in somewhere, can I build you a database? Right? And we're almost at that stage in building Ethereum. We are not building, I'll say it again, we are not building a religion. We are building something to empower people. Right? And that is what we've got to remember. So if you get people saying, immutability is God, code is law, this is bullshit. We are trying to build something, and there are a lot of people who are actually working on it, building shit, who say a lot of very valuable stuff. There's a lot of people standing on the sidelines who try to compare us to something else. And we're not something else. We are building something to empower people. That is it. Let that be the guiding light of what we are doing. Right? Thank you.
All right. Any more questions? We have plenty of time.
Questions or comments?
Or comments, yeah. Why limit it?
not this guy. No, not him. Anyone but this. Censorship.
I have a quick question, a little less philosophical, but as someone who just joined the community right after the DAO hard fork, well, kind of like in the midst of it, so you can imagine how confusing that was. I lived, and a lot of the conversation about EIP 999 harkens back to the DAO hard fork, and I'd love to hear a little bit compare and contrast of how it's similar, how it's different, and also we talked a lot about the human aspect of contentious hard forks tonight, and I hear that was a large contributor to the DAO hard fork, and I'd also love to hear a little bit about the percentage of the network affected and the amount of funds affected, just a little bit compare and contrast. Thanks for talking.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess I have things to say on this. So I think the biggest difference between the funds before the DAO hard fork and this potential fund recovery operation, however it turns out, is that there was a hacker who actually had the funds and then would receive the funds and benefit from it. Whereas here, in all these other fund recoveries, there isn't a hacker who is going to win. So there's also not a time pressure. With the DAO hard fork, there was 35 days. A lot of people get the numbers wrong, but there were 35 days that the funds were in this one address for sure. So we had like this time pressure, and there was a big effort had to be made, and everyone was pushed to make a decision. And that timeline, I think, made it a lot easier. Here, it's like those funds are locked; they're not going anywhere. There's not really a big push to solve the problem from the whole community because we're all busy. We have other things to do, and nothing's perfect. So I think those are the two biggest differences. I guess the third one is definitely the quantity of the percentage of ether, right? I think the hacker had 10% of all ether in existence, or no, 4% of all ether in existence. The white hat group had the other 10%. So, we count things. Yeah, but really it goes to the guy in the background. But yeah, so there's the severity of ether being there. Also, solidity was version 0.3.6, right? And we've gone really far from there. So there's very different, like there's a lot better understanding of the code now. But at the same time, the EIP 99 I haven't read it enough, but is it specifically about the parity multisig?
999.
Okay, so then so that's a big difference. But for the other fund recovery options, those happened in even earlier days. So I had one more, but.
I guess I'd say that the significant difference is the maturity of the ecosystem, the amount of funds affected, the number of people affected. As I understand it, something approaching 50% of accounts had some investment in the DAO, which means that a lot more people had incentive to argue in favour of it. And actually, in the other direction, the DAO was a theft, and this is an accidental loss, and there's quite different perspectives on how to handle that, I think.
Did you have a comment?
I guess time is a bit of a relative thing. So for the DAO, there was this time pressure of how the DAO worked, but here it's still that a lot of the projects that are affected, I believe, do feel a time pressure because they need the funds to deliver what they wanted to build.
I think that some of the ways that they're the same is that and I can't really speak for the core developers, but I do the core developer meetings, so I'm kind of getting a sentiment that they don't really want to be involved in the ultimate decision around 999, and really it's not their place to. They implement the code. They shouldn't be the ones deciding if things necessarily go in or not, on a philosophical level. And Nick and Yuta, you were there, back at the DAO doing some of the coding and stuff with the core devs. I felt like they were also reticent to get involved in a lot of the political discussion at the time around this. Am I right to say that they didn't really want to be the decision makers and that they were kind of put in this awkward position? Because that's kind of the feeling I get.
So there was the option, like there were different flags, and ultimately it was like the user's option of like going with whatever fork you wanted. So in that way, but then like I think it was, I went back to the blog post that we did. We in the end felt there was a case for fund recovery for the hard fork because of this argument that there was so much at stake, and it's a large share of the ETH and this proof of stake coming on. That was, I think, the main thinking back at the time.
There was a definite sense that it was contentious and that users should be allowed to decide, which is why I think both major clients offered the option to users. The coin vote, while it wasn't authoritative, did get used as a signal in terms of setting defaults and so on, but the intention was always that the users should be the one to choose which chain, eventuated. I don't think at the time we really appreciated the possibility of a split as a high probability. I think we thought one or the other would go ahead and the other one would die off just because of network effects. I think we can probably thank the exchanges for the fact that both of them exist.
Yeah, and some other differences are we've learned from this potential hard fork has learned from the previous hard forks, and so we have a better perspective on what a fork in Ethereum would mean. And like Nick said, the ecosystem is much further developed, and a lot of applications that are running right now are probably not really ready for a fork, or at least there's a lot of interesting questions that would crop up, like, we have stablecoin DAI. What happens when there's two DAI, right? Because the big thing is, if this fork is contentious at all, it will lead to a second currency. We know that because that happened with Ether Classic. So will one DAI turn into two DAI, and then every DAI is worth $2 now? Or does everyone get liquidated? What would happen there? And that's just one application. So the risks of a fork are a lot greater now, unfortunately.
So you're worried about a die-hard scenario there?
Next question.
Next question.
So not really a question, more of just just dawned on me kind of question, comment, wondering. So we can easily implement immutable systems on top of immutable systems. Going to your point, where we have, you can imagine having an ETC contract where part of the fork was all the balances of all people of Ether get put in the state tree of that contract at the time the hard fork occurs. ETC is now a living contract on Ethereum. So I feel like we could actually achieve, address a lot of the people who have vastly different concerns. People who want immutability, we can just give that to them. The chain will always have some version of the contract which has a recent state before this hard fork happened. So can't really question, just kind of like a random half-baked idea that came up as a result of your comments. So
I find the idea of an ETC token kind of amusing, but I'm not sure people would find it satisfactory. They want the base layer to be the one they chose, not the higher level. And I also the ability to fork is a really powerful thing, and we shouldn't sort of take it away. But I still like the idea anyway.
I mean, there's still a fork. That state tree has to be like shimmed in or something. Yes.
I always have things to say. Yeah, actually, we talked about something sort of similar during the talk. There's EIP156, and there's a potential that you could create a token that represents the people who have lost funds in these previous things, and create a token for each one. And if we recognize that Ethereum is in beta, and that eventually we'll hit serenity, right, and it will no longer be in beta, we could create a mechanism where if anyone loses funds, they create a token that represents those lost funds. That token would be totally tradable on the open market, and then if they really want funds right now, they could cash in the potential of the receiving funds later, right? But the thing is, what we're really missing for that strategy to work is a a governance mechanism that would decide whether or not these tokens should turn into Ether. And the other big piece is, hey, do we actually have a direction towards a place where we think Ether is safe enough for us to say, no, we will never do fund recovery again? So maybe the first step, at least this came out of a discussion that we had, maybe the first step would be to design systems that would be safer for people to use Ethereum's base layer with and encourage that use, and maybe even potentially build it into the platform itself. And once we have a place that's safe for people to write smart contracts without such an easy opportunity to lose funds, like it is right now, I mean, it's a dangerous place, honestly. So maybe if we start working on that first, and in parallel, people create a token, maybe one day we'll get to a place where, yeah, let's solidify that we're out of beta by solving all these people's problems that happen with fund recovery.
I think that's an awesome idea, so thank you for sharing it. Just to put things in context here, like there's an EIP or an ERC right now around mineable tokens, so building proof of work on top of Ethereum. And the reason I think this is interesting, this came up in the context of, one of the groups we had today as well. If you fast forward 10 or 20 years, I think the direction we're going is that doing anything at layer 1 is going to be extremely rare and extremely expensive, whether it's Bitcoin or Ethereum. And it's going to be like chiseling something.
Like this seems like the right thing to do, and then there's the other side of it where it's like the data says that maybe this isn't the right thing to do. Like, where do you guys kind of draw the split of doing things on more of a humanistic level or more calculated model?
I'm totally a fan of data-driven governance, but I think that ultimately we're building a platform that's useful to humans, and we should make choices with that in mind.
I think when we think of Ethereum, right now we've got a tendency to think of the Ethereum base layer protocol, but like as the ecosystem evolves, it's the entire ecosystem, it's all of the users that we don't even have yet, application developers, this entire like economy that exists on top of this base layer. So we have to think not just about like what it means to govern at layer 1, but what it means to govern at all of these other layers, including the social consensus layer. So it's got to be like a holistic approach to governance.
Griff, you always have something to say.
I do. I just want to share. So yeah, I'm totally humanist. I mean, I think that we are humans as much as some of us don't want to be, right? Like, there's this. It's a lot easier to just rely on data or set some rules at the beginning, but in the end, that's not really cool. We gotta be real, and we gotta actually help each other out when we have the opportunity. I think it's really, I really like how the system works in blockchain, where every individual the real, and they're humans, they're going to make a human decision. They just need the data of what everyone else thinks. And so if we can get the signaling out, and we still allow for the governance to basically stay the same, where people get to decide which clients they want to run and what software they want to run on their and what tokens they want to buy. And then we let people make those decisions. So.
Yeah, I guess just to add to it, like you were talking about exchanges before, like they definitely have a part to play in maintaining like a controversial fork, but they can also help the public decide. Like we saw Bitfinex was allowing people to sell their Segwit coins beforehand, and that kind of prediction market I think fed a lot into 2x getting denied. Yeah, so that's where there are some good data points there. Thanks, guys.
Hello everyone, I'm Bob Sumwell. Welcome to Canada. Hello!
Thanks, Bob. Great to be here. Everyone's so friendly. I made a joke the other day that I think the reason why the Ethereum community is generally so friendly is because it was founded by Canadians.
We think so. We think so.
But so that concludes the meetup tonight, at least here in this space. I want to give a huge thank you to L4 for hosting the venue, to Heather, who's sitting here on the ground, who did a great job. Big claps, big ups to L4, and to the projects in the back who tolerated us being here and having so many people in their space. So right after we break here, we can't hang around for too long, but if we would love to have you meet up at a bar that's literally like a block away. It's called Ronnie's. I'm gonna write the name and the address up here for folks, so if you just look it up in your GPS or something, you've got that. It's called Ronnie's. They've got a big bar and an outdoor patio space and stuff, so it looks like a great place to hang out. We'll meet you over there. So, like I said, please don't mingle too long, but feel free to use the restroom, grab another beer or something. Don't open carry. I think that's illegal in this country. But head on over to Ronnie's and we can continue the conversation there. Thank you.